Hello friends, in my previous video I showed you that a service can have two kind of life cycle. It can be either a bound service or it can be a started service, or it can be both. It can contain both the life cycles. So in my previous video I showed you the bound service example where I had a button to bind to a service and a button to unbind from service. In my activity main.xml I had a text view, and then I had these two buttons, bind service and bind service. In main activity I created a service connection called connection using this code, and then I used it in button 1 on click. When button 1 was clicked, I created an intent to move to my service class, and then I used this code bind service using the intent and the connection and this flag bind auto create. In my service class it extends service, and here it has this onBind method, and in this onBind method I use my schedule executor, which is a schedule executor service, and I run this every second to update the text in main activity, text of text view in main activity to the current time. And then I have an unbind button here in main activity, and when this button is clicked I unbind service connection, and in my service.java class I have this unbind method. When this is executed I shut down this scheduled executor service, so it will stop running. Currently when I started it was running once every second. Here initial delay 1 second, period 1 second, and time unit seconds. Okay, now let's have a look at the app. Here is the app. When I click on bind service it starts showing the current time, and you can see the seconds is increasing. And when I click on unbind service it stops. But suppose if I click on bind service and close the app by clicking this back button, and now again if I open it, here you can see that the timer or the clock has stopped, and I again have to start it by using bind service. Now let's see what happens when we use the on start method, means when we use the start service method. So for that we will have the same activity main.xml, but instead of bind service I will write start service, and instead of unbind service I will write stop service. Now let's go to main activity.java. So here when the button 1 is clicked, instead of bind service I will be using start service. So here it has start service which only uses the intent. So here I can directly put this intent, and it doesn't need the connection. So let me remove this connection. Okay, so now I have removed the service connection and I have used intent, for which I have set the class to my service.class, and then I start the service using intent. Okay, here you can have a look at this complete view. In on create I have set the content view, then I have defined this text view as a static text view, so that I can use it in the service class. After this, I have defined these two buttons by using their IDs, and then I have set the current date and time to the text of text view. Okay, and after this I have button 1 on click listener and button 2 on click listener. In button 1 I use intent to move to my service dot class. In button 2 I will not require this, so let me just remove this. Okay, button 2 is for stopping the service. Now let's move to my service. So when we use start service, in my service the next command which will be executed is, it is not on bind, it will be on start command. So here I will use this public int on start command. So here it automatically adds this. It contains the variables intent, flags, and the start id. So we need a start id for this. Let's go back here. So since this on bind is not executed in my service, I will remove this code from on bind and I will paste it in on start command. Here instead of returning the binder, I will return null, and I will remove this binder from here. So here in this my service class which extends service, I have declared a schedule executor service which is my schedule executor, and in on start command I define it as executors.new scheduled thread pool 1. It has one thread pool, so it will start one thread, and I schedule it at fixed rate. I schedule at fixed rate in which I have a runnable which continuously runs, and for this runnable the initial delay is 1, period is 1, and time unit is seconds. So it will continuously run every second, means it will repeat this every second. So in the while it is repeating every second, I set the text of text view of main activity. Main activity dot text view dot set text current time plus new date. When you call new date, it will give you the current date and time. So this is in on start, and since we do not have on bind, I return null here, and on unbind is not required here, so I will remove this, but I will need this my executor dot shutdown. That I will do in on destroy method. So here I will add a public void on destroy, and in this I will add this my schedule executor dot shutdown. So when the service is being destroyed, it will shut down this timer also, so that it doesn't crash. Now I will remove this on unbind. Okay, on bind is required, so that's why I have not removed this, but it returns null. So instead of using code in on bind, now we use the same code in on start command. And in main activity.java, here when button 2 is clicked, I will use stop service with the intent. Okay, so here we have to add the intent also. So for that I must define this intent outside this. So let me just cut it from here and I will paste it outside. So now it seems fine. Here I define the intent, then in button 1 on click I start service using the intent, and when button 2 is clicked I stop service of this intent. When this is clicked it will destroy the service, and while it is being destroyed we'll shut down the executor, the scheduled task executor or the scheduled executor service. Now let's check this. One more thing which I would like to tell you is that in Android manifest.xml you have to declare this service. So here you can see that inside this application tag I have this service tag with name dot my service. I have added my service because the name of my file is myservice.java. Now let's check this. So now it has compiled. So now when I click on start service, you can see that the clock starts running and it displays the current time, current date and time including seconds. And when I click on stop service, the clock stops. Now let's check what happens if we close the app. So if I click on start service, the clock starts running. Now when I click on this back button, now the app is closed. If I again start this app, you can see that the clock is still running. So this means the service was running in background while we closed the app. So this is how we can use the start service and stop service. So if we have to stop it, we have to open the app and click on this button, which is stop service, and then this clock will stop and the service will stop. But if I click it again, here it doesn't crash. So this is better than bind and bind. So that's all in this video. Thank you very much for watching this.